that stability, we're counting on you staying in those homes, staying in those businesses, paying a property tax. Because that is something that's not gonna do like this sales tax. Yeah, it's gonna do a little bit like this. The valuation on your property can change and things like that, but it's come up, even those changes, the city doesn't get the windfall if all of a sudden we get a lot more of this because of the certified rate that we adopted 40 years ago. We have to change that rate. And so that, again, that's exactly what this process is. So it's scary to me how much we've relied on sales tax. Say, if we look at this last year, it's been good to us. Well, this last year is not a real good representation historically of how that works. Does that make sense?
You know, sales tax is scary too because people used to shop so just totally locally, and now we're doing so much on the internet and everything else, and we don't get any of that money. We lose every bit of that. So I mean, as our sales tax, we struggle with our sales tax because people aren't shopping at home as much as they used to. We don't get, you know.
Well, some of it we do, but it goes to the state. So like if you bought from Amazon, it goes to the state, but then it's proportioned out to your community by the size of your community. So even if we bought more than anybody else in the state of Utah, we're not going to get that back. We're only going to get our proportion by the size of our community.
If you buy local, we get half of it. Then the other half goes to the state, and then it's divvied out to veteran communities that don't really have sales tax but shop here, like Glenwood, Annabelle, and so forth. And so that's what's particularly important to buy local, because we get half of it now. So that helps us. But, you know, I talked to the local building supplier down here, and they said that their costs are up 398%. And they're getting a lot more competition. Like he told me, we're getting Skyline builders, Lowell builders, they're starting to creep into here and bid on homes and stuff. And that's how the world, that's how it works, you know. But we're actually losing some of that now as well. And I talked to, I can't think of his name, works for the county, the fair guy. McWilliams, Chad, just a couple of weeks ago, and you figured this out. We're supposed to be slow, okay? He said our restaurant tax, 2 weeks ago, we were $35,000 ahead of last year, and our TRT tax was $136,000 ahead of last year. Now, that doesn't mean it'll stay that way. It could go down or whatever, but so we're getting people in here. People are coming here and spending money. But yeah, we're supposed to be shut down, and it's been hard to, like Kip said, we were betting our sales tax was going to be down, and it was up. And it's just been so volatile the last few years to try to figure that and keep within a reasonable expectation.
So, side question, does the city get any lodging tax?
Yes, we get a transient room tax,
Yeah.
and that comes back. Portion of that comes back to the city, and you know, these campgrounds, we've got a campground growing out, we get it off campgrounds. I think the Blackhawk gets it off people that stay over there, and that's become a big deal. I'm kind of happy to see these campgrounds coming in, because they're, if you go down through up through Nephi or down through Penguins, they're full, and that's a good, really pretty good income source for us.
So if the budget's $7 million plus, you're getting $1 million from this tax increase, property tax, and you said $700,000 from sales tax. That only adds up to $2 million. Where's the rest of it come from? What other streams?
We get water revenue, we get sewer revenue, but those are limited. We can't take water money and spend it on a farm. And we can't take sewer money and be able to put it into a water line. It has to
go to that.
Anything we collect in that purview needs to go into that.
So some of these projects, what about applying for grants? Do you guys do that?
Oh, all the time.
All the time?
Yeah.
So are you successful?
Yeah,
we get quite a few.
We're just doing an $11 million sewer project, and half of that's going to be grant. So.
But the other side, the other half of that is not grant. So that's how we stretch it, but that doesn't make that, that liability go away. So yes, it's a good question. We do try to find that. Very few of those are outright grants. These aren't Pell grants. These are, we'll give you this much if you provide this much. And so we still have to come up with that matching amount. And sometimes some of these grants that are out there aren't even available to us because we don't have that matching amount. We have to pass on.
A lot of them are 50
Percent,
or less. So
Percent.
we're seeing anywhere from 30 to 50 maximum, but it's not, and the city pays the balance. So in order to upgrade these projects, that's the cost that comes to the city.
There's this little entity out there, it's called the CIB, it's Community Impact Board. I don't know if you're familiar with it or not. I don't know who designed it or invented it, but they're a hero, especially for rural Utah. They take royalties off of oil and gas and coal and so forth, and Sevier County has normally been in the top 2 or top 3 counties, producing counties, because of our coal and oil. Obviously, the Uinta Basin's #1, but they take a royalty off that, and they have that money, and they'll grant that money and lend that money at 0 interest or low interest loans back to rural communities. And it's basically, we wouldn't have had it over the last year, 2 years, well, more than that. We wouldn't have a lot of things.
So does meet their own, do they, you know,
We started moving up slightly because we're going to have to, we've got a window where we're going to have to move it up slightly every year, our water and sewer.
so do they support themselves or do we have to supplement?
We take that budget, no, we take their budget and that's what they.
They live on that?
Mhm.
Yeah, they support themselves.
But the other one is, that people don't realize too, is we have an excellent airport manager. And when we have built and added on to the airport, the FAA has paid about 90% of that, which is a real benefit to Richfield because it's been able to grow. And Adam has been an excellent manager and he's overseen the growth and he's helped it go forward. We have Keith who has overseen and tried to maintain everything that he can as far as our water and sewer and live within those budget limitations. So it isn't lack of expertise or hard work or planning that is in there, but we've gotten to a point now where we need to increase our property tax amount from the 700 by adding another $300,000, just so that we can continue to repair and rebuild and update our infrastructure.
On the, like you said, does he come up with the budget for that, or does the city council come up with the budget for him?
Keith and Tyson's the financial officer, and he's excellent at what he does. And
There's a lot of
sits-
collaboration.
Yeah, he sits down with those people who are in charge, and they create that budget.
Okay.
The
And then
mayor
I just
actually
wanted-
presents it.
And then I just wanted to add, yeah, my little $80 for the city. I just remembered, we own commercial property, and that total, not just city, but total went up $2,800. So there's a lot of factors if you own more than one. Like if I was a resident and owned all that property, it probably would go up a lot more, but that little piece is a little piece. That piece is a huge increase. So that's why I'm just trying to understand what you guys are wanting to do, like why and where that money is going. So, you know, that one is a huge increase. But
I think what the bottom line is, that the city deserves every penny they get. They need this cost increase, because it's actually peanuts compared to what the school districts get. If the city asks for $80, the schools get $200. It's ridiculous what's going on. So, no, I don't think anybody's picking on the city, because I've had the opportunity to work with Keith on several projects, and let me tell you, he's got his hands full.
He does.
I don't know how he keeps things going the way he does. because you've got an awful old system throughout the city. But I think where all the people get upset about is something's got to be done with the county. What kind of increases in the school districts? What gives them the right, in other words, to they just automatically get it? The city has to beg and plead for $80, and the school just automatically gets another $200. So I think that's where the bottom line is what hurts the homeowner, business owner. It's not the city.
The school's already getting 55% of it.
Yes. So I've heard a lot about, people talking about the city budget and stuff like that. Let me tell you, it's not enough. So hopefully the city could take half of what the school district gets instead of, I don't understand where that money's going to, but that's a whole different issue from what we're talking about here.
Well, we try to be creative. I mean, you've talked about doing projects that we can do in-house, which allows us to not have to bring engineers in, which is a big increase in costs. And we have a couple of good dirt people in our area, and George is one of them, and Keith's knowledge is that, so we can do those things without having to bring an engineer in. That saves a huge amount of money.
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, I know Michelle and Tyson, I know that we've all tried to be creative with what we've got to try to get the most out of it. But, you know what pipe's going up. I talked to Donnie Peterson, I mean, he said he's never seen it like this in 45 years.
Yeah.
And you can't get it. So there's that too, factoring in.
You bring up some excellent points, and obviously we're not going to solve those inequities here. The bottom line is it's all dollars and cents to us as taxpayers. Where that goes is a little consequence. This is how much come out of my wallet, come out of my budget. But the other thing is there's rules, and we got to play by the rules. We could ask for a bigger increase, by statute than what we are. It's like, what do you do? And again, Nikki, again, I appreciate her opening comments because she laid this out very well. I hope in 5 to 7 years there's some council sitting here having the same discussion, and hopefully maybe by then we found some creative ways to level that field somewhat, to help the municipalities in that allocation of those public funds. But we can only play by the rules the way they are today, and I'm guessing they won't change a whole bunch. And I hope some council, before another decade expires, has a room full of people here having a similar discussion that we're having tonight. We can't make that happen, or perhaps we can. Maybe 6 or 7 years if nothing's happened. But guess what? Who's ever gone to one of their elected officials and say, "I think it's time to look at raising my taxes"? Well, and so it's. I'm guessing it probably won't happen. Richfield's not an anomaly in that regard, but it should. It should. And so yeah, we're just trying to get by with the rules the way they are.
We missed, anybody else like to make any comments? Michelle?
And maybe this isn't a comment. I guess I'm seeing the bottom line, and I get, I'm an employee of the city, I'm a library director, and I understand the needs because we're on one of those lines that needs some more money. But when property values go up and down, where does that extra money go? Does that make sense? In the taxes? Like last year, there was X, and now like my taxes on property are, $1,200 more. And so I'm wondering, where does that go that's not even part of the, what you guys are asking? And I guess I say that because I used to live in Logan, and as the property taxes went up and down, then like there was extra money for different departments in the city. And so, you know, the higher the values of the property went, then you got extra money for these projects that had been maybe put aside for 5 years or something just because of slim, you know, tax years or things like that. So I'm just wondering, is there a way that we could set that up here, or, you know, so that as the property values go up, that we do have a little bit of extra, you know, funds to.
We don't get that from property tax, but Amy can tell us.
They're not allowed to get a windfall or keep the windfall. That's why they passed the truth in taxation law. Is so an entity only gets the same amount as they did from the previous year.
I understand.
So when values go up, the tax rate is supposed to drop. But the tax rate didn't drop because we lost $56 million in centrally assessed property. We lost personal property. We lost other things that affect that tax rate negatively. And so that is why there is not, an entity is not allowed to get a windfall. That's why you have to go to truth and taxation to ask for more money above what you got the year before.
Sure. So the, you say loss of property, does that mean it's going to business?
No, loss of value. We lost $56 million in centrally assessed.
Like that power line that went through the county, that's depreciating, and so the tax revenue from that
The value went down, so their
Goes
taxes
down.
decreased,
things
so.
like that.
The easy way to
But my
think of
taxes went up, they didn't
this-
decrease.
the
Well, no, the total value in the county went down by the $58 million, so it has to be made up by others.
So,
Yeah.
Okay.
so
The
your
county is-
taxes went up, your property taxes went up, but what the county's actually getting isn't.
They took in more money last year than they did this year. So, like we said, everybody's got a set amount. We say we need $1 million. The school district needs X amount of dollars, the county needs X amount of dollars, but they lost $54 million in revenue last year. That's why your taxes went up, because they need to make up for that $54 million in order to cover what they need.
So they
But I
have
thought the
a deficit.
value of, like, my home goes up as far as somebody who wants to buy that and the price that they want to pay, not making up for some.
It may happen,
something else went down.
Yeah, the county needs so much money to operate on, so they have to go through and give charge everybody so much on their taxes, and if they lose some tax, then our taxes go up. If something goes up, then ours goes down, so they have so much money they need to operate on.
The state sets the certified tax rate. They look at what all the property values are, and then they set a certified tax rate for each entity that brings in the same amount of money.
Well, like an example is this coal mine was for many years the largest taxpayer in the county. I think the oil wells are actually now, but the
Not
coal
now.
mine was the largest for many years.
Not
right?
now.
But not now,
Mhm.
yeah. But anyways,
Oil and coal went down.
but
They
yeah,
were the
but,
top taxpayers, but they're not.
and their values have gone down, and so to make up for that.
So we need.
And that's what 56 million came from, is those types of things, big, large
If
things.
the school district and the county and the city needs, let's say, I'm just gonna make it simple, let's say that all three of those entities needs $10 million. And last year, they took in $10 million to cover that need. That's what they took in, $10 million. So something happened between last year and this year, that 10 million went down to maybe 8. Somewhere along the line, something happened where people that were paying that didn't pay as much because of depreciation or lack of business or whatever it might have been, production on the oil or whatever. So that 10 million went down to 8 million, but they still need to get the 10 million. So that's where you see the increase.
So
Does that make
the
sense?
so the county sets that, or does the
Well,
state?
The state sets the tax
It's
rate.
just, everybody has to pitch in and make up that deficit.
That difference.
Okay.
That's what we're doing tonight. We set it at $1 million is what we're doing.
Yeah, I get that part.
And then the county does the same thing, and the school district does the same thing. Their numbers are bigger. And so when you got this kitty that everybody has to put into, and when somebody doesn't pony up a great big share, say half of it, then we as homeowners have to make up that difference.
And I guess because I haven't gone through this process, just like Michelle says, we've never done this, you know, that it was just, that was scary opening that bill, you know, that I had to look at that and say, oh man, because I've come to the city council meetings and stuff, so I was well aware that we needed an increase in the city, you know, but to see that extra was just a little scary. So I was just trying to understand that, because I'm just like,
It's hard
okay.
to understand it. Really
Yeah,
is.
but to me, it makes sense that there should be some extra somewhere, you know, instead of what's been explained, so thank you, appreciate that.
Terrell, do you have something you want to say?
Well, I'm here at this meeting to learn, I guess. I walked in late, and so you guys are talking about you only get a certain amount, and I just see the little tax rate, the 0.0, and I'm, 8 or 9 numbers that are very minuscule. And I'm thinking, why are we asking ourselves to pay more for ourselves in our city when our tax valuations on our home double? At least mine did. And, a couple of years ago, my county taxes doubled, and that was tons of fun as a landlord to deal with that, with multiple properties. So, that's, I was gonna ask the same question. If my home property's value go up, and those numbers stay the same, that minuscule number stays the same, then you're collecting tons more taxes. Not you,
That
but
number actually goes
That
down.
number fluctuates every year. The state sets that.
and then, but my taxes have never gone down in all the years I've lived here. And I'm paying on multiple properties, and I don't begrudge that, because I'm trying to live the American dream, and it's not working out so well, but, it's something that I can do, and I have a few skills that I don't have to call everybody else to help me out to try to make a profit on my rental properties. And some years it's been good for me, and some years it's not been so good, and this year is killing me, but that's all right. So as you guys explained that some other people are shortfalling, I wish that we knew that better, the how come and the why, and where it was short.
Well, take the coal mine. For years, the coal was coming out of land that was in Sevier County. Now they're moving into Emery County, where they're pulling the coal out. So the empty mine tunnel that's in Sevier County is now not worth as much. Emery County's side, they'll be getting more money.
But Sevier County knew that was gonna happen at some point.
Yeah,
Yeah, isn't it sad, we should have appreciated the mine when we had it.
Okay.
We did build a nice road for everything.
I want to make this comment though. As a property owner, a multi-property owner, I have to deal with the city and the water and shutting things off and turning them back on. You don't know how nice it is to have Keith and the Blackett boy, Kim. You don't know how much I appreciate them and how attentive they are to me and how quick they've gotten things taken care of. And when we've had leaks in the street, I know that it probably should take 4 days to a week to get it taken care of. And they'll notify the neighbors, let them know we're shutting down the whole street, and they get it taken care of in 20 minutes, sometimes 2 hours. The longest I've ever had any problem with the city is 4 whole hours. I mean, and I see their trucks everywhere. And so when it says my life's better or making it better here in Richfield, I think we ought to keep that sign on the trucks, because I don't want to live somewhere else. And I love knowing those guys by name. I love having their cell phones in my phone. I love having that kind of attention and having problem solved like that. It's absolutely incredible. And the knowledge they have, it's mind-blowing. And they're willing to give it to me and share it with me. It's cool.
Okay. Is there anything, anybody, that we haven't covered, if anybody has any? If not, let's quit. We need a motion to adjourn and go. Oh, I want to close, we need a motion to close the public hearing.
You need to declare.
I'll close it. Close it. I declare it closed. Never mind. I've only been doing this 8 years. Give me a break. I declare the public hearing closed, and now we need a motion to
I'll
adjourn.
make
and
a
go.
motion that we adjourn and go home.
Thank you all. Appreciate you being here. Thank you.
I'll second Kathy's motion.
Bye.